This week, the Owl House barfed up 2 back-to-back episodes, so we have a lot to unpack. We've got fun times at a death-themed revenge carnival, an Eternal Sunshine stroll through Willow's memories, and more hints at the secret message encoded in each episode. I'm Whitney Van Lanningham, and today we're talking Season 1, Episodes 14 and 15 of The Owl House, Really Small Problems and Understanding Willow. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our super nerd sponsor of the day, John Carmack, for supporting us on Patreon. Also, just a heads up, there are going to be major spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen both new episodes of The Owl House, hit pause on this video and come back after you've watched them. Now on to The Owl House! First up, we have Episode 14, Really Small Problems. This episode is a lighter, fluffier episode that mostly serves as a chance to see King interact with Luz and her friends. When Hexside closes school for the day due to a pixie infestation, thanks to Bosch's pet pixie, Luz decides to spend the day at a mysterious pop-up carnival with King and Ida. Of course, Ida just wants to use the carnival as a prime location for her human artifact market, but King and Luz are on a mission to win themselves a pair of friendship bracelets by playing games. When they arrive, it turns out that none other than that scheming, devious pig Tibbles sent them the invitation. He swears the invite was an olive branch, but he's clearly up to something. But things go south for half of the bread pun best friends when Willow and Gus show up, along with an ominous invitation in tow. But the scam carnival isn't King's problem. He's feeling left out and babied by Gus and Willow, and feels like they kinda took over his special day with Luz. The trio start unconsciously leaving King out and giving him the bum end of their carnival fun. And look, I get where he's coming from. It sucks to be the odd man out, especially when you wanted to spend quality time alone with someone and they randomly invite their friends. We've all been there. While King is distracted, Tibbles, disguised as a fortune teller called Obvioso, tricks King into taking his magic disappearing potion to use on Gus and Willow. Oblivious to the fact that, hello, this is clearly Tibbles trying to get revenge, King takes the potion. We later learn that this potion isn't a disappearing potion, but a shrinking one, and Tibbles is turning his victims into micro-gladiators. Side quest, Tibbles offers Ida the same potion when they first arrive at the carnival. For Tibbles, not only would this allow him to get his revenge, but he'd also have quite the headlining Coliseum match thanks to Ida's fighting prowess. King accidentally drops the potion, splashing Willow and Gus with it and causing them to shrink down into itty-bitty witches. Instead of remedying the situation, King uses this as an opportunity to get in his quality time with Luz. When the pair also inevitably get shrunk down and trapped inside the tent of tiny terrors with Willow and Gus, King confesses that he shrunk Willow and Gus because he was jealous that Luz got to spend so much time with them at school. Knowing that Luz has to go back to the human world eventually, King just wanted to soak up all the time he can with her before she leaves. King's stress over Luz not being around the Boiling Isles forever is my main takeaway from this episode. We've all known this from the start, but Luz also mentioned her dwindling time in the magic realm when she was arguing with Principal Bump in the last episode. Is this priming us for the fact that we're drawing closer to Luz's departure from the Isles? I'm curious to see how they'll do this. I assume she's been keeping track of how many days she's spent on the Boiling Isles, but what exactly is her plan for coming back? Is she just gonna have Ida drop her back off when the summer camp bus pulls back into town? Will she be able to come back and forth anytime she wants after she leaves the Boiling Isles to go back to her normal life? Presumably, Ida would have no problem bringing her back and forth, but this is an adventure cartoon, so something's gonna get in the way. Whether that's Luz's mom finding out that she never went to camp, Luz getting stuck on the Boiling Isles, Luz being shut out of the BA and trapped in the human world, or Luz making the choice to never go back altogether, I'm sure we're in for a wild ride. To remedy his selfish actions, King uses himself as bait and tosses his cherished friendship bracelets at Tibbles. This causes Tibbles to touch his face and break the potion's curse. They all return to normal size, and King apologizes for being a jerk, dishing out the shattered pieces of the friendship bracelet like Katie Heron on prom night. So yeah, nothing earth-shattering in this episode, but it's a fun little adventure and we get some cool background gags like these mirrors that confirm what Luz would look like if she was a furry, a skeleton, a pumpkin, an alien, a cosmic horror, or an anime girl. Also, in Ida's B-plot with the Fun Police, we get a look at some other wanted criminals on the Isles, like this prize thief and Mean Slime. For the most part, these seem like generic characters, but it is notable that a version of Black Phillip is on the wall. This is, of course, a reference to the 2015 horror movie The Witch, which features a goat who is secretly the devil. The next episode, Understanding Willow, could not be farther from filler. We finally get to see the Regina George, Janice Ian fallout. And while it's definitely a tearjerker, we get to dive deeper into both Amity and Willow's characters, and even see a little Lumity shipping along the way. When Luz and Willow sign up for a photo class at school, Luz is excited to finally learn how to make her own Harry Potter-esque moving portraits. In order to do this, you have to extract memories from someone's mind, and when the memory pops out, it forms a little Polaroid snapshot. This class seems incredibly dangerous for teenagers, however. Damaging any aspect of the photo could irreparably destroy the person's memories and change everything about who they are as a person. I don't know if I'd trust 15-year-olds with all that power, but whatever. I'm no Dumbledore. What do I know about child wizard safety? Willow's noodle pops out a memory photo of her and Amity from a long-ago birthday party, and when Luz presses her for details about their falling out, Willow shuts down. But Luz is determined to fix things between the two of them, so before leaving the photo lab, she flips the picture. When Amity walks by moments later, she sees the image of her and Willow and freaks out. She decides to burn the photo, thereby removing the memory of what happened that day from Willow's mind. But instead of just destroying one photo, Amity lights all of Willow's memories on fire and burns them to a crisp. Willow's brain fries, literally, and she can't remember who she is or even what her hands are. Of course, Ida suggests that they do something illegal and dangerous to fix it, so Amity and Luz dive into Willow's brain, while Gus hangs out and tries to decide on a person to interview for his journalism project. Gus has a few candidates lined up, and he's looking for someone who's interesting, accomplished, and noteworthy. On his shortlist is Beefy Bob, Adgas Wizard Puppet, the Bat Queen, Albert, and everyone's favorite horrifying kindergartner, Braxis. Principal Bump gets snubbed for being not interesting, accomplished, or noteworthy, and the school's Death Eater guards are too spoopy to even consider. Tiny Nose was also on the board, but she's unavailable for an interview, probably because she's now a novelist superstar as of episode 11. Once inside Willow, Luz and Amity spring into action, repairing Willow's memories by restoring the damage inside. Side quest: the first memory they go into is of Willow and Amity at the beach. Notice the name, Lake Lacuna. This is a reference to Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet have a bad breakup and decide to let Elijah Wood and Kristen Dunst erase their memories of their relationship. The company that performs that service is called Lacuna, like the lake Amity and Willow played at when they were kids. But while they're working on restoring other memories, the inner Willow starts re-burning all of Willow's memories of Amity. She shows Luz and Amity what happened the day that photo was taken at Amity's birthday party. Sometime afterwards, Amity broke off her friendship with Willow, calling her weak for being unable to perform spells yet. But here's where things get interesting. Amity reveals that the reason why she had to dump Willow was because her parents didn't want them to be friends anymore. The Blights are apparently uppity jerkwads who didn't think that Willow was a talented enough witch to associate with their daughter. They threatened to have Willow banned from Hexside for her poor performance if Amity didn't stop speaking to her. With no other choice, Amity parroted her parents' cruel words and told Willow she wasn't her friend anymore. Although she technically only stopped being friends with Willow to protect her from her parents, Amity didn't have to do it the way she did. Even if she was too young and powerless to stand up to her parents, she could have talked to Willow and reassured her that she'd always be her friend. Instead, she panicked, and her actions broke Willow's heart. I understand her Malfoy parents having an influence on her behavior, but there's no excuse for letting Willow get picked on, or even for picking on Willow herself. Amity apologizes to Willow and promises to finally stand up to her friends. She'll no longer tolerate them picking on Willow. And while this doesn't make them instant BFFs, it's a start. Now let's talk about what we really care about. Lumity! We have another snippet of evidence that these two are friends of Mara, if you know what I mean. When Luz gives Amity a big surprise hug in this episode, Amity clearly blushes. Actually, Amity blushes practically every time she talks to Luz. I know that doesn't sound like a huge deal when I say it, but Lumity shippers are already filing it away as solid evidence. They're also pointing to this moment when Ida poofs them back and they're holding hands again. And speaking of gay She-Ra parallels, can we talk about Willow's dads? She's got the same family vibe going on as Bo. Like Lance and George, Willow's dads appear to be fun-loving and supportive, the opposite of Amity's stuck-up parents. While we don't get to know much about these two, I think it's promising to see LGBTQ+ inclusion this early on in the show's life. Lots of shows only get to sneak these relationships through the censors on their last season, but getting a glimpse of gay couples this early on gives me hope of seeing broader representation down the line. Finally, we have to discuss this week's Owl House Mystery Code. Last week, the secret message read, 2 witches torn apart, now alone, 2 hearts of stone, a curse of ... This week, Really Small Problems gave us the glyphs for the word feathers, while Understanding Willow gave us the word and. So the full message now reads, 2 witches torn apart, now alone, 2 hearts of stone, a curse of feathers and. Coupled with the episode title acrostic I mentioned in my last Owl House video, A Witch Loses a True Way, we're getting another step closer to finding out more about Ida's curse. Those are my thoughts on the latest Owl House double feature, but I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Like and subscribe to Nerdwire, and tell me your favorite Lumity moment down below.